Hospital porter's pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV. Well, I'm off to London again. Now, the last time I came on this way to get to London, in fact, the last time I went to London was for the Brexit demonstration, the Brexit betrayal protest. And I remember the weather was very nice that day. Today it's a bit grayer. We've got this thing called Storm Hannah coming. So better get into your bunkers and prepare your meals ready to eat, dry rations. It's going to be worse than a no-deal Brexit, I think. But at the moment, there's no sign of any storm, let alone one called Hannah. So I'm going to go off and enjoy myself. Now, why am I going to London? Well, you may already guess it's got something to do with David Icke. Believe it or not. That's not going to surprise many of you, is it? But yeah, I'm off to London to see a film called Renegade, which I won't show you the trailer of it, actually, because it's a bloody... I'll probably get a third-party strike from the bots. Damn YouTube. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about it. And this is the film I'm going to see. It's called Renegade, the life story of David Icke. And yeah, it's got quite a good website here. And it says here, the madman who's been proved right again and again and again. David Icke has been warning for nearly 30 years of a coming global Orwellian state in which a tiny few would enslave humanity through control of finance, government, media and military, police, Gestapo, overseeing 24/7 surveillance of a microchipped population. He said that the physical reality is an illusion, and what we think of as the world is a holographic simulation or matrix created by non-human forces to entrap human perception into ongoing servitude. They called him crazy, insane, a lunatic, and he was subjected to decades of ridicule, dismissal and abuse. Oh, but how things changed. Today his books are read all over the world and his speaking events are watched by thousands on every continent. Why? Because what he has been so derided for and saying is now happening in the world. Events and even mainstream scientists are concluding that reality is indeed simulation. Almost every day, something that David Icke said long ago is supported by happenings and evidence. As Mahatma Gandhi said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they fight you, then you win. David Icke's time has come. Yeah, now this is very, very good. I'm going to go to London to see it. I don't know where it's going to be yet, but we'll find out soon. I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, that there is my coach stop, and out there is my coach. It's just gone. I just coming past, and the bloody thing went. Oh, can't see it now. Hang on. And the bloody thing went and drove off. There it is. I've just missed it. Well, you know, isn't it annoying when that happens? And you go towards the bus stop, and you see one you're waiting there, and it just goes past. You think, oh, and you just miss it. The thing about it is, I mean, I wasn't going to run. I could have run and caught it, but I'm not going to bloody run and catch it. The thing about it is, I mean, I try to sort of take things easy and not rush, you know what I mean? And I don't have to rush. I think it may be just something instinctive in us, you know what I mean? Some kind of instinctive part of living in this here today, gone tomorrow society where everyone has to rush to do everything. You have to rush to work, then you rush to go home, and then you have to rush somewhere else, and wherever you rush to, there's just someone else to rush after, somewhere else to rush after that, and that's kind of like the way our world works. And I'll tell you what, never is that anywhere more obvious than in London. You know, if you're walking along at a normal pace, along the street, people are just pouring past you on either side. The good news is they go every 15 minutes or so this time of day, so I don't have to wait very long. So I'm not that bothered. I mean, unless there's some... Oh God, I mustn't sort of keep going on about things that might go wrong, you know, but as long as the traffic's alright, and it should be this time of day, I'll get to London with plenty of time to spare. Oh my God, I've gone through a time slip. It's the 10th of September. Oh my God. Or is it the Mandela effect? Or do I really have missing time? I hope I've not been abducted. Oh my God. Or maybe I've been through a portal and I'm in a parallel universe. I guess I'll soon find out. Okay, I've just got off the coach. I'm now in London. and I've got to go and meet Colin. I'm gonna go to this event with Colin Wolford. Now I'm at Marble Arch. I normally get off at Victoria, but I'm at Marble Arch now. Now I don't know if you watch S. Williamson and watch his videos, because they're really good. He did a video here a few days ago because the Extinction Rebellion people had a huge camp here, and he called it a New Age death cult, which is very, very correct actually. And he made the point that the horse's head thing, that the severed horse's head sculpture, which I think I pointed out before, is in this area, and there's a lot of like weird, creepy art involving death and dismemberment that Brian Gerrish often talks about. So this is where it is, it's Marble Arch. Now you see a couple of them are still here. There were like hundreds of tents a few days ago. Now you go over there, I'd say show it. Oh, there's a bus coming. Let's wait as it goes past. Then I'll show you. There it is. There's that horse's head cut off. It's a weird thing, that. Now another thing he said was that this used to be a place of public execution when we used to do those sorts of things, and apparently so this is another reason he said that it was all happening here. I don't remember. I mean, of course, you know, I went to their meeting in Oxford, and I'm not going to put a link in the description box of the video I made, but there was a lot of weirdness there, I'll tell you. It was a very, very strange thing. There's an ambulance coming. I thought it was a police car. I'm getting paranoid. Anyway, I've got to find my way now to the underground station, and then find my way to Tottenham Court Road. It's just a few stops on the Central line, so here we are, underground. That's where I'm heading. For some reason the train's all dark inside. I don't know why that is. That's what it looks. Maybe it's just tinted lights. Oh, well, here we are. This is the train. I've seen these before. And I've got to find my way to this pub, and then Colin's going to be there. I've got my Rich Planet hat on, you see, something ready. I've got my Chemtrails t-shirt, so I should be recognisable. I'll tell you what's fun to do on these lifts, because I find that if you're going along like this, right, you can imagine you're on the flats, like one of those things at the airport I showed you. And so everyone who walks past you just is leaning backwards for some reason. But of course, we're actually going upstairs, but you can sort of pretend you're not, and it's amazing how easy it is to actually create that effect. It's very, very odd. But we are actually on a staircase. We're actually going up, you see, and that's down. Well, I'm in this pub called, is it the Marmaduke?
It's the Montague Pike.
Montague Pike, yeah, this pub is. And I'm here with my good friend and comrade, Colin Wolford. He's back again, eh? He's back on the Panmo TV.
Can't keep a good man down.
Yeah, so Colin, we're here for something very exciting, aren't we?
We're going to see David Icke, and it's basically the premiere of his film, which is going to be called Renegade, and I'm not sure how this is going to be available if you can't get here. It's probably going to be online and stuff like that. I've actually had to pay because Ben got a good value ticket. Unfortunately, I had to attend this event. I had to get a bit more. I had to pay a bit more and pay for the meet and greet. So for me, it's going to be 60 quid. So it's a bit steep, but you know, I think it's going to be worth it. And to be fair, if I'm going to give money to anyone, I'd rather give it to someone like David Icke than any of our politicians and stuff like that.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. You know, it is. It's this film Renegade is. It's like a biopic, I think they call it, like a documentary about the life of David Icke.
I don't really know too much about it, to be honest, but I know it's got some. I think they've got some interesting guests here tonight as well. I've only seen a few clips from it, so I don't really know much about it. So maybe that's a good thing, really. But I'm pretty familiar with all his story and you know, the history of David. But I guess for me it's just a chance to actually meet him, maybe get a photo, just sort of give something back to him for all this hard work he's done for us. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says. I know he's probably down on certain subjects, but I don't resonate with. He kind of sees everyone as being sort of the establishment, whereas I'm sort of more of the line now that Trump might be actually more working for the alliance and the whole QAnon stuff. So I'm not sure what David Icke thinks about that. I get the impression that he either doesn't know about it or doesn't want to talk about it. But
I think he does make some. Oh, this is hot. Hang on, take this off. So I've got a big white spot on my head, but I can't help it. I'm just hot. Yeah, I mean, this is Renegade, which is the biopic or documentary about the life of David Icke. Now it's true. I got a cheap ticket. Mine was £30. Colin was 60.
Double your money.
Yeah, because they were like 2 watches.
I get a glass of prosecco.
That's true.
And I get to meet the great man.
You get to. I'm happy to be a photographer. I don't have my ticket.
It might be a once in a lifetime opportunity to be fair, because I've never actually had a photo. So why not?
All I'm doing is I've got just the screening only ticket. Colin has the screening only and VIP reception ticket for the premiere. So mine's cheap. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it very much. It should be pretty good.
Well, apparently, I mean, he's got a new book coming out. Do you know about that, Ben? After this,
yeah. I mean,
he said it's going to be really controversial.
Well, you get a copy of the book, don't you? As part of the.
Really?
You get a copy of the book.
No. Really? What is this one?
For the £60 ticket, you get a copy of the
book.
Really? Apparently, I don't. I just get to see the. I get to see the movie.
Are you sure about that?
I think he said that. Yeah.
Wow, that's news to me.
I'll sign it for you.
Really? I didn't know about that because is that out then?
Well, not yet. I think it's just been released now. Maybe
so
maybe get an earlier version of it.
I didn't know about that. So if that's the case, then that sounds like a good day.
So Colin gets an earlier version. Maybe he gets it before everyone else does.
Book I read, it's the biggest secret. So I mean, that's a long. I mean, I'm a slow reader.
I've
got the slow reader.
Oh, it's slow reader. Oh, right, that's it.
If you don't know who they are, you can check out
the Slow Readers.
The band. Yeah.
Is there a band called
Slow Readers Club. I'm a slow reader, so I mean, that's probably why I haven't read any more David Icke books, and I know where he's coming from, so I don't feel the need to get any more David Icke books. But if I'm getting a book out of it, then that's good. That's good.
That's it. And I just get to see the movie, but that's all I want to do really. I actually want to see. I mean, I'd like to meet Green, but 60. I didn't have £60 on me, so
no.
But it should be interesting to see. I mean, there was. It's not the first decent film that's been made of David Icke. There's been a lot of documentaries about David and things to do with David. Most of them are crap except one. And that was David Icke, Is He Right? Have you seen that?
I think I had, when he visited him in Isleworth, was it? Is that right?
That was this guy from Northern Ireland who actually met David in the early 90s and made this. Now this was the only mainstream documentary about David Icke that was any good.
I think, yeah.
But that was only 1 hour. It wasn't a feature-length one. This is a long one. This is like a feature-length documentary.
How long is this film?
I don't know if it's
90 minutes.
I know the event. I know that there's a thing that ends at 9:30, but that could include the reception.
Oh, okay.
But the film starts at 6:45. It's now 4 o'clock. We got to be there at 6. The doors open
at 6. They only
6.
announced it, we should say, this morning, didn't they? I mean, literally, we thought it was going to be 24 hours before, and it was only like literally 9:15.
Well, that was the venue, yes.
The venue. And that's so sad that you have to go for these sort of covert sort of, this is the way the world's going, unfortunately, where we can't actually even have people. I mean, even Richard Dolan, I watched a video of his the other day, says he's alarmed about how things have been closed down, shut down on social media, and people aren't going to be able to talk about this. I mean, you've got to enjoy these freedoms while we can, because I really do worry that we're not going to have this opportunity within 10 years. It's a scary place we're all going to. It's really,
it really is.
It's really sad.
This has always been an issue. It's what's known as no platforming, and it's becoming more and more common, because, for example, in that John Ronson documentary, it's made in 2000, you see a bunch of what they're today called SJWs, who attempt to shut down David's show in Vancouver, Canada, and they do attack him in a bookstore show by throwing a lemon meringue pie at him. And now it's got a lot worse. They don't throw lemon meringue anymore. They throw bricks and they throw bottles of acid and things like that.
There's obviously agent provocateurs by the state there as well, so you just really can't believe anything.
Well, a lot of them are funded by George Soros's Open Borders Foundation.
Exactly.
So that's another thing.
It is worrying that that the more popular we get, the more alternative media gets, the more the mainstream loses their grip, the more angry they get, the more they want to strike back, the more they want to take our powers away from us, and that's exactly what's happening. So.
The sad thing is it's not just like the government and the police. It's like ordinary people, or like I say, ordinary people. These basically idiotic students and teenagers who are doing this. They're taking part in this no platform policies and carrying out these violent attacks and things like that. They threaten venues, they threaten delegates, they threaten organisers. This is why we only just found out where this is going to be. It's actually I can tell you now, because by the time you watch this, it'll be over Hallam Street here near Regent's Park. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But David couldn't publicise this because literally there would be a gang of thugs outside with, like I said,
Holocaust people.
Yeah, exactly. Bottles filled with cement and baseball bats and throwing bricks at us and things like that. It's horrible. It's like the Brexit thing. It's, these are just like, why? I mean, I know it's all Soros funded, but they say David Icke hates Jews. That's what they're saying. I mean, do you think David Icke hates Jews?
No. Well, I just think it's people who don't understand what he talks about the reptilians. So, he's not actually talking about Jewish people. He is actually talking about the reptilians to Draco. These different entities. And I actually probably the minority of David Icke actually does believe there is a reptilian influence on our society, and obviously it helps if you're a UFO researcher, because a lot of people who aren't familiar with UFO stuff will never accept that reality. And yet, if you study things like Mary Rodwell and things like that, and people's contact experiences with these beings, then you do realise there is a faction of the reptilians that are quite malicious. I've heard about the draconians, and where do these words come from? It's an interesting fact that this old sort of these beings. There's lots of people said that they actually own this planet, that they were here before we are, and that they are here running it. And whether you believe the Queen is a shapeshifting reptilian, it doesn't really matter, because I think that sort of rule without question is deeply worrying, and that bloodline rule is deeply disturbing, where you just have to bow down and accept what they say, basically. So it's I think there's a lot to it. I mean, the whole Jewish thing, going back to that, it's just I'm not denying that there's people died and that, but it's just that every time you speak out, you speak the truth, you get knocked down, and it is really worrying. I do worry about the future and how it's all going to go, because I just feel like in the future it will just be total thought crimes. There'll be lots of curfews. You won't be able to go out, basically. Everything will be shut down after, because there'll be maybe it will be agent provocateurs starting riots and things like that. But what's interesting, I think what's interesting is like the whole recent climate change thing. People have been on the streets and that. So there is, I mean, whether you agree that's true or not, and I'm sort of not really totally believing the whole climate, although I think there's like a tiny bit to it, but I don't totally go along with it. But it's refreshing to see that actually people are willing to actually get on the streets, and that can be a positive.
I suppose unless it's something that's like as you say, an agent provocateur thing, like the Extinction Rebellion. I mean, David, I will put links in the description box to where I've discussed this before, but David has stated very clearly that Jews and Jewish people are not to be blamed for this. This is not. He stated it in his words, in as many words as that. So to say that they're saying,
if you want to be offended, you'll be offended. You'll make up an excuse to be offended, and that's really sad, because
to interpret that as the opposite of what it is means that there's no point debating these people. They're completely beyond reason.
You're putting your own agenda onto the facts, and the facts aren't what he's saying. It's just that they can't comprehend the bigger picture. It involves off-planet beings. It's too much for them, and it's sad, really, because you have to educate your mind. You have to educate.
When David talks about reptilians, he means literally reptilians.
Yeah, it does.
And the thing is, this business with David Icke being anti-Semitic. This goes back right to the early '90s, when he was in his in the beginning of his conspiratorial area, his turquoise period, the beginning of his conspiratorial awareness, and he was like saying. He got someone from The Guardian to come along, and a journalist from The Guardian to come to one of his speeches. This guy hardly ever went in there. He just spent all the time wandering out backwards and forwards. Then he wrote an article called New Age Nazi, David Icke, the New Age Nazi, which had a picture of Adolf Hitler doing a speech in uniform with David's face plastered over Hitler's face. I mean, that is disgraceful.
And this is the problem with the mainstream media. There's no one awakened with intelligence can actually read books and understand a bigger picture. And you hear it on the radio, you see it on the TV. There's no one who has done the depth of studying things like the occult and esoteric issues. If you can't study those subjects, then you're missing a big part of the picture. And this is the important thing, that the mainstream media, they teach them in schools and college and so-called intellectuals, but they're hidden from all the esoteric and occult subjects, and that's why they fail to see the bigger picture. And they laugh when they hear about these things. But when you actually spend the time, like Ben has or I have, you realise that actually there's a lot to this, and this is an age-old thing that goes back thousands and thousands of years. Yeah. And to ignore that or not to see it, I mean, that's just foolishness on behalf of the mainstream media.
Totally. So as a result of this, we've only just found out this morning when the venue is. Is this place like it's a medical school? We'll show it you later anyway.
Well, I thought it might be a cinema, but obviously it isn't a cinema, so obviously they have their own screen inside. Yeah. And the protesters have probably phoned every cinema in London and warned them, if you have David Icke there, we're going to turn up with baseball bats and we're going to make your life hell. We're going to make sure no films ever screen there again and things like this. So it's somewhere different. We'll show it you later anyway. But we've got a couple of hours to go, so we're just going to have a couple of drinks and have a chat, and then we will head to the venue. So exactly.
Look forward to that. So see you later. I thought this was fake news. What the hell is this? These are public urinals here in London. This is Soho Square in London, and I thought this was fake news when I saw it. I saw videos of these, and I thought they were taking a piss.
Daylight, but at night time, I'd probably.
What the hell is this? I wouldn't use these. Look at it.
Yeah, I think they're trying to encourage people not to use that park over there, basically, to have a piss.
But it's like, look. Everyone can see you.
Well, the interesting thing, Ben, is they've actually got a man there, because if it was a woman, then I suppose people don't want to get confused.
That's sexist. That is misogyny, that is. Well, look at it. I mean, no, seriously, right? It's like, I know in France they do this sort of thing, right?
What does that say on there?
Nixon hire.
Not V. Nixon,
not RM Nixon. He's dead, isn't he?
Wow.
Well, it's probably the conspiracy. It's a conspiracy involving whoever was controlling President Nixon. But look at this. This is disgusting. And I mean, why not have proper toilets? I mean, we're not in bloody... In France they do this sort of thing. When I went to France, I couldn't believe they had toilets like this. They've been doing this, have toilets like this for years. But look at it, it's like, you just stand here like this and there's like, everyone can see you.
Yeah.
It's like people watch you.
In daylight, to be fair. Maybe at night time. But
everyone
you got to go. And to be fair, that was my choice between going behind some sort of... dodgy alley, then I'd like to see one of those.
Definitely, but then why can't it be like a cubicle with like walls around it, you know? I mean, it's like, why not have one of those Portaloo things that use on building sites? Yeah, I just think it is like France. I mean, it's getting like France, and it's like, I mean, you'd be on CCTV, like people staring at you while you're doing it, when you've got your knob hanging out. And it's embarrassing. It's really, really embarrassing, and I mean, I mean, I agree. I mean, I was complaining the other Friday when I was here the other Friday about the lack of public toilets in London. How I had to go behind a wheelie bin around the back of Parliament Square. But some people just wear piss in the corner when the women wanted to go. These guys would just like form a semicircle around her, and she'd squat in the gutter. When this was on the Brexit betrayal protest. But we're going across Soho Square now. That's very quaint, isn't it, Colin? Look at that.
Well, it's quite nice. I mean,
we've just been looking at those horrible modern monstrosities. We've got this lovely modern monstrosities. We have this beautiful, charming thing in the middle of Soho Square here, which is kind of like a farmhouse or something.
Assuming there's an exit there, but have I got that wrong? Maybe I got that wrong.
Well, we'll find out.
I think there's no exit.
Is there a gate there?
Let's go.
All right, mate. Yeah. This is Soho Square here in London. I'm here with Colin, and we're heading for...
What happened to the grass, though, Ben? What's happened to the grass?
The grass is dead.
Was that heat wave, that Easter?
I think it was a no-deal Brexit. Yeah. It's what's going to happen because Brexit's coming. That's why it's happening. Yeah. All right. Soho Square opening times. Anyway, we're going to head. The police are just going to come and arrest us now. We're heading for to see you know where. We can't say the name out loud because we don't know who's listening. There's the what's that called? The Govinda?
Cooler shaker.
Oh right, it's Govinda. Govinda is like the name of the god, isn't it?
I
It's
think
the name of the god,
goddess.
the goddess. It's the Radha Krishna temple there, and the Govinda Pure Vegetarian Restaurant next to it. I dare you go in there and order a cheeseburger. I dare you. We're heading for the.
It's a shame we haven't got the. Usually we'd time it to perfection. The Hare Krishnas would be dancing with their bells and stuff.
Oh, shit, they're not here at the moment. No.
Sadly, they must be somewhere else.
Hey, do you remember where was it we went to? Because we did film when we went to see Ray Santilli's place.
Yeah, Marylebone. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've done that at the pub there now. Out of interest.
It's looking a bit threatening up there. Some nasty thick clouds. Look, they've got those weird chemtrail clouds up there as well. Look, they've got those chemtrail clouds. Look. Oh my God! We're just crossing over Oxford Street now, and Colin is doing his usual and he's crossing like Londoners do, dodging between bumpers. Now, hey Colin, they've got those weird chemtrail clouds. Look at that.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Mothership.
That is Storm Hannah, I think, coming towards us. It must be a geo-engineered storm, Colin, I reckon.
I reckon you might be right.
Yeah. We were just saying it's really weird how they give these storms names. Because they used to they never used to give storms names. Hurricanes got names, but not storms, and now storms are getting names.
Well, I mean, yeah, they start naming storms after us when we truly are in the end times. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. Storm Ben. I think it's been a Storm Ben. What about Storm Miles? Hurricane Miles. Hurricane Miles named after Miles Johnston. The wind, it would come down, the wind would be tearing trees up, and then cars would be overturning, and its booming voice would come from the sky saying, "Feck off! I'm in edit lockdown!"
A foul smell would reach the streets.
So here we are. There's some very thick cloud ahead. Chemtrail skies, clouds, those weird metallic chemtrail clouds that no one ever saw until a few years ago. It's just maybe a geo-engineered storm called Storm Hannah. Hannah must be probably the receptionist at the Bilderberg Group. And look, we have that. There's the BT Tower. Look, it says there's the BT thing on it. Yeah. Is that? When I was a kid, I used to think it was something like an alien thing.
Well, it looks like you remember the bounty hunters in The Empire Strikes Back. It looks like IG-88. The head.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. That weird robot.
Yeah. The bounty hunter. Yeah.
That's right. Yes. It is like that. I mean, the thing that goes to Hoth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. Apparently, it's shut now, but there was a restaurant on the top floor which rotated. It went round in a circle.
Quite fast, actually. That's rotating quite fast.
Yeah, that's not the restaurant. That's just the. I think if that was in there, you'd be pinned to the wall. I think that's just the display. But there used to be a restaurant that rotated much slower.
Well, it's so good, but we didn't take the tube because we wouldn't be able to see all this if we were taking it underground. So.
We were thinking of going on London Underground, but
decided to take the 20-minute walk.
It is now getting on for. Well, it's in the rush hour now. So really, the walking's the quickest, the most comfortable way of getting around London.
That would be on the rush hour tube train. You know?
No, it's like being
not on a Friday. Not on a Friday.
God, no. It's like being a can of sardines. So we're actually quite pleased. We're going on foot now to the venue, and to see you know who. And Colin is navigating us. So I'm just checking. We're going up. This should be Rathbone Road, and we're coming up. Should be. This is Percy Street.
It's going to bear towards the left, basically.
Yeah.
I've got it all in.
Percy Street, that's it. We're now on Charlotte Street, that's right. We're heading in the right direction. So we should be getting there soon. It's not far. And we've got plenty of time.
The problem is we might get there too early, that's the trouble.
Well, we'll have to wait outside for a bit. But hey, we might get a chance to meet you know who.
Yeah. And also maybe some, of the acolytes,
That's right, some of our other comrades in arms, yeah. It's the only chance we get to talk to anyone, have any decent conversation.
And
so,
you spot a truth with them, that's the question.
Oh, you can spot them a mile off. Yeah, you can see it in their face. And they recognise me very often as well. Because they watch my stuff and everything. That's what fame does for you, Colin. Right, it's a nice little area. It's a nice looking pub. Oh, right, yeah, I should have bought some books. I should have bought some books to sign.
Did the David Icke group arrange a meet up? Maybe you would have thought.
Well, Narendra. Oh God, I didn't contact Narendra. I was gonna bloody Oh, I was going to text him, and I didn't. Oh dear. Well, I know Narinda. This guy called Narinda I know, who's been in the old forum. He mentioned he was going, and I didn't.
Go left and then we'll go right.
Right, you are. But then with that, there may be some people having a meet-up.
I think we can go right.
Yeah, there's a little road there. It's like, this reminds me of Carnaby Street. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit. We're at New Cavendish Street there in London. And there's a sort of dragony thing there, coat of arms with a little child. Looks a bit dodgy. And this is De Walden Court. And there's at least, this architecture's looking familiar from when I saw there's a boozer called the Stag's Head. Oh, that's not more reference to animal sacrifice, like the headless horse.
David Icke's head, that would be one.
Yeah, remember the headless horse I saw? I showed him earlier. I showed him at Marble Arch. Hallam Street. This is it. It's somewhere along here. I think it's up here. There it is. I recognise that building there, with the sort of bay, the sort of semicircular bay. That I think is where it's going to be. So I think we are close to the. I think we're close to the venue now. Now do you see any scruffy people with long hair and facial piercing and yelling about privilege and oppression? I don't see them anyway. I think we may be safe. Yes. Let's hope. Look, see, they've actually accommodated some parking spaces. That's probably for David Icke's limousine. Just kidding. This is the venue, as you see here. This is 44 Hallam Street. I can tell you that now, but because by the time you see this, it'll all be over.
44, is it, Ben?
Yes, it's 44 Hallam Street.
Some sort of master number, isn't it?
I don't know. For some reason, it's next door to number 50. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but it looks very nice. 44 Hallam Street, there we are. A conference centre. And here we are, the General Council of Medical Education and Registration of the United Kingdom. And look, there's number 50 next to it for some reason. So, Colin, we're here. We've made it.
Made it.
And so we entered the building, and so we decided to have a look around in the reception, where they had a lovely place here where people were giving out glasses of Prosecco, and we all met and mingled. And of course then this chap turned up, David Icke. Yes indeed, he talked to a few people, and he had photographs taken in front of this amazing sheet, this amazing sort of sponsorship thing you see in front of you. And he got to meet various people, and we as you can see here, he met me, and I had my photo taken with him. And of course he was absolutely delighted to see me, as you can tell here. And we kissed and cuddled. Well, we didn't kiss, but we did cuddle. I shook hands with him. I did it gently because I know from meeting him before that his hands are very painful because of his rheumatoid arthritis. And you can see by the shape of his hands the deformities caused by the illness. And I know he has to type with 2 fingers, and it's very painful. But as you see here, he's absolutely delighted to meet me, and he's very keen on my t-shirt, my Chemtrails t-shirt, which I showed you earlier. He was very keen on that. So yeah, it was pretty good. And then after that we went upstairs, and we went to the auditorium on the first floor, where they were actually arranging the screening, as I will explain a little bit more in a minute. But you can see there's a screen there. You can just some of these pictures are not very good quality, but you can see there's a screen, and there's me looking very happy, and David doing his talk after the show, and before and afterwards he did his little talk, and he did the Q&A session, which is very nice indeed. So yeah, it was a really, really good time. And then of course after that we all came out into the evening after the end of the event. So let us proceed with that. I'm out. I'm now out of the venue. It's, what time is it, Colin?
5 to 10.
It's 5 to 10 at night, and we are we're going to go to the pub. All right. I think there's so much to say about this. There's so much to say. We've got some friends with us. We're going to go to the pub, and then I'll talk to you again later.
Right.
We're actually on the underground train home, and we've just been to the pub with some people we met who we know online. We've never met them before, so we did meet some people online we've never met before, but Colin's met.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you think of the film?
It was really good, actually. Really enjoyed it, and I'm surprised actually how much actually of his actual talks in fact he included, in the actual footage and that. But yeah, what we didn't realise was it's the guy who did the Unacknowledged film by Stephen Greer, which I think I might have heard about actually a few months ago. Maybe I've forgotten it, but it's a very high standard quality film, and the good thing is when it comes out, then it's going to have a lot of extra features as well. But
we got
met David, met his sons. It was great, you know, it was good. I don't know what more to say really. I mean, the only grumble I say, because I bought the more expensive ticket, as you probably heard, and it turned out there wasn't much difference between £60 and £30. But hey, I don't care. I had a good time. I didn't have an extra glass of prosecco. I think I grabbed an extra couple of glasses. So whether that's worth £30, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but I can't grumble.
I think the original plan was, because what happened was there were 2 tickets you could get. There was a £30 ticket, pound ticket for the screening only, which I got. And then there was the other option.
You managed to. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's because they saw my ticket, which was a VIP one. Maybe they thought it was. But I don't know.
I thought you didn't look like a VIP. I don't know. No. The thing is, there was also a £60 ticket option, which meant you got to go to a separate. Are we getting off here?
Yeah.
Okay. To go to a special reception afterwards with David and everything, red carpet stuff. Now. That didn't come about, and the reason was, which I'll talk about later, the multiple venue changes, I think, was the problem. The reason this happened, Kev, I don't think it was David's fault, is because they had to, on the original venue, they probably catered for this sort of thing, but at the new venue, it's actually the 3rd venue we found out, they couldn't. And I think that's why, which is a shame. It is a bit of a rip-off, I suppose, but it's not through any fault of David's. I don't think it's his fault, it's just how the whole thing went. Where are we going? Baker, where are we going now?
We'll change.
Colin's a Londoner, he knows these things. I'm going to Victoria.
Yeah, we'll change where we can get Oxford. Change Oxford Circus to Victoria.
Oh, Bakerloo line. Okay. So I'll let Colin lead because he's the expert. Were you impressed with the camera work and the special effects?
Very much so. It was very loud, very clear.
It's very well. It was very sophisticated. Obviously, a well-made movie, high budget. We only just found this out. It was by the director of Unacknowledged, Dr. Stephen Greer's latest movie.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his name? Steve Peake. Steve Peake, I think his name is. So yeah, that's. Where are we going now? Oh my God, this is really old. This is spooky, isn't it? I think we wandered into a disused underground, maybe a portal, in a parallel universe now.
Well, I think the film runs in about 90 minutes, which is actually a good thing if you've been to it. And actually, you know that it goes on for a very long time. And
yeah, it's a 90-minute movie, average for a feature film, an hour and a half.
But it gets a message across without diluting, I think, the content. I mean, obviously you can drill down on all these other subjects, but I think it does makes a good bringing it all together in a succinct way. So, yeah, good. I mean, I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, I do say to people, there's Baker Street. My goodness, this is where Sherlock Holmes lives. Apparently. Yeah, but we've got these seats we can sit on. Yeah, I mean, we should point out that the venue. Like, we only found out where the venue was at 9 a.m. this morning. It turns out this is actually the 3rd venue.
It's supposed to be 24 hours before, and then we got a message 24 hours before saying, because they didn't say why, but it was going to be announced at 9 a.m, which I thought was a bit odd at the time. But David actually announced that this is something that they only found out about literally on the way down from Manchester or wherever they had come from when they're pulling into Euston.
This is the 2nd venue they cancelled. The first one.
Yeah, well.
Oh dear.
And did he say it was a TUC or something?
So it was the Trade Union Congress.
No, which is.
It's what I would expect from
them. Apparently a few protesters there. We actually got there a bit early, and we were surprised that the doors were already open. So we got there about 5:45.
Turned out there were some Antifa protesters outside. We never saw them, and they were gone when we came out, but apparently there were a few, not causing much trouble, but there were some demonstrators. But, Colin, the Trade Union Congress now is kind of what I would expect from them, because the trade union movement is just riddled with cultural Marxism these days.
I mean,
totally and utterly.
What leads us? I mean, how would someone know about that 24 hours before? I mean, without leaking the info, how does...
They have their spies. They have people... Some of them buy tickets just so they can find these things out.
I mean, I don't know how these things work and how much money you have to put up to secure such a venue. But I can only think that if they're losing out money on that, then that's it's a disgrace. But,
absolutely, absolutely.
To cancel like that, I mean, for everyone who's planning to come down here, I mean, it's really
horrific.
Yes,
it's absolutely horrific. Yeah. Oh, I think this is our train.
Careful, I think we want a little bacon. I think we want the bacon.
Okay,
I'll just double check, make sure.
Do I have to change it to Oxford Circus? Can I change it?
Yeah, because...
Can I get on the Victoria line now? What do I get on there?
So Oxford Circus, and then you can get to... It's 2 stops from Oxford Circus.
Right, okay.
And I might go to Vauxhall, actually.
Yeah.
So I'll probably get off.
That's London Underground for you.
That's the fastest train I've ever seen arrive at.
But you know, it's like this no platforming business. It's just been ridiculous. I mean, the original date was 11th of April, and I think if that had gone ahead, they'd be like the VIP thing and everything. This is why there were 2 tickets. I happened to buy the screening one. I would, if I'd afforded it, I would have bought the VIP one too. Then that cancelled. They had to cancel out, and they had to change it to today, the 26th. Luckily, I could still make it. I don't know how many other people could. But
because he also mentioned on the email something about being a paid bar there, and he said, unfortunately, this new venue hasn't got any. If you want to bring, he said, if you want to bring your own drinks with you, then that's fine.
And then the second venue for the 26th cancelled. And so Jamie spent the whole train journey from Manchester trying to arrange a third venue. Jamie, David's son and tour manager, managed to find the one we're in now. I mean, everything we saw. Everything that happened in there today was a very good setup. They had like proper catering. We had a glass of Prosecco, didn't we? Or 2 glasses actually.
I had my fake.
The photographs I've already showed you.
I've got some photos of David and Ben, and obviously with me as well. So,
and we went upstairs, and they set up an upstairs room. There were chairs laid out. There's a screen. It was all set up for a screening. All that within just a few hours.
Yeah.
Oh, literally within a few hours. And
also, they had a good question and answer, which went on for about 75 minutes nearly at the end.
Good Q&A. Good question.
It was actually very, because sometimes you worry about, oh my God, what's someone going to say? You know, actually, the majority was very good questions.
We found out like that Ivan Purser, whatever it's called. That's correct.
That's interesting.
David has a Croatian politician on his side, a member of the Croatian Parliament. He's actually on David's side. And then now I don't think any of our MPs over here would ever say that.
The story about that inspired him. Do you remember what you were saying about how he was at a bus shelter and he saw someone had taken a page out of one of his books and stuck it to the bus shelter, and that's how he got into David Icke. Which just shows you these small little things that you do can actually change the reality.
Just imagine,
if he'd never seen that, you think, well,
he might never found out, might he? He might never found out.
For like putting, these little seeds of doubt, leaving a book on the train, or posting something on a wall. You just never know who it's going to reach.
Exactly, yeah.
And someone will say, well, that's a synchronicity because I'm, into that, and then you're part of the whole process, and it's
quite something.
When you think about it.
It is pretty incredible, actually, I think, Colin, because exactly, I mean, if someone hadn't stuck that page of the book, then Ivan might never have seen it, and he might never be the man he is today. Another thing about Ivan is he's also involved in the government of Liberland, and that's a big subject. Liberland is basically a piece of terra nullius, as they call it, a no man's land, created by a rerouting of the River Danube. The River Danube marks the border between Croatia and Serbia. And what happened was when the river was rerouted, a lot of the meanders were cut off and they went dry. But the border was never officially shifted, which means there was a lot of unclaimed territory which neither country was willing to claim. So a guy from Czechoslovakia went in and claimed it. It's only about 7 square miles. But it's called Liberland, and it's got its own government. There's only about a dozen people live there, but it's got a libertarian government apparently.
It's amazing. You got a admire for that.
I think but what an enterprising thing to do.
And he seemed quite sincere. And he told an interesting story about he was visited recently by someone. One of these secret societies. Well, first of all, he thought he might be the mafia. I think it turned out to be some
They were Italian,
group. So,
they were Italian, so he thought it was the mafia, but it wasn't. It was.
It's not ours either. This one.
But they made him an offer.
No, not yet.
They made him an offer he could refuse.
Yeah. Which I admire that. I mean,
yeah, good for him. But they said, we'll give you $100,000 or something, right, and set you up for life. But you've got to. Your book has to be the book you've written. Where you talk about creating credit, because you wrote 2 books on economics, which are very critical of the fiat banking system. That's fractional reserve lending, and they said you have to remove those from the book. And do you know what he said? He said, "Good for him," I say. Good for him.
What does that tell you about money and how money is created?
He told them to take a running jump, and I think that's very, very, very good of him. I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wish there were more politicians like that, because you think how many others have been made that offer and they've accepted? You know what I mean? So,
well, this is it. This is a big story.
yeah. But I mean, he's an interesting chap. I'll probably say more about him later, because I need to do my own little summing up, which I might be too tired to do tonight. I'll have to do it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's quite draining.
But you know, that was one of the new things I hadn't expected, and I found out about. Yeah, it was some.
I think it's coming to Netflix on June 4th. Was it Ben? Did he say?
Yeah, it's going to be on general release.
That's a massive thing to be on Netflix.
We got
a lot of people watch Netflix now over.
If it's not banned.
Well,
you see,
I think
a lot of films have been banned from Netflix.
But having done that unacknowledged, I think that's.
Do you know Cassie J's The Red Pill? It's an anti-feminist thing. It's very critical of feminism, and that has been banned from Netflix. A lot of politically incorrect stuff has been banned from Netflix. So.
Well, that's a shame. But I think I think you will be able to buy it on Amazon and all those other channels.
They'll find. There's ways. I mean, for example, The Red Pill. You can still get The Red Pill. You can watch it on a private player on the website. You just pay for it privately.
Well, it'd be worth it just to get all the extras. I mean, if it's like unacknowledged, when you had all these other interviews like Doty and all this stuff, then that'll be worth it. So I'd probably buy it again, just to see all the extras.
Yeah. I'm going to have to watch Unacknowledged again now, because now I know that this guy was the director. I did watch it before, and I was only sort of half concentrating. I was a bit drunk. I was the same when I watched Sirius. And to be honest, I am very critical of Stephen Greer. I think there's a lot of problems with him, but I did enjoy it, and I'm going to watch it again now. I'll have to watch it again. Unacknowledged.
Well, that's to his credit. He's knocked out 2 big films like that in 4 or 5 years or so. So.
Yeah, most of the film consists mostly of pictures of him wearing tight jeans, boasting about I'm just a country doctor from North Carolina, and I went to a luxury hotel retreat on an island off Australia. And he goes on and on about that for ages. Then he gets to the point and he says he's going to talk about disclosure with these people. It's like, but basically, I don't want to go off topic and run down Dr. Stephen Greer. This is not a slag off Stephen Greer thing. Yeah, I'll do other videos about that. Yeah. But it's kind of I reckon.
I think everyone, if you're watching this video, would basically support the documentary if you can get it on it anyhow, because it is,
Do get
I think it will red
maybe
pill.
it'll be on DVD.
I think it will red pill a lot of people who aren't, like someone in the audience asked, what can we do, to sort of wake up these people, because some guy came down on his own, as like some 20-year-old guy, and saying. Well, I think the main thing would be to stick him in front of that documentary and see how they feel about it, because there's nothing, he didn't address things like the more controversial subjects such as the reptilians, and he didn't. It was a good overview of his. It wasn't.
I thought it was a good introduction. It was a good overview of David's work. As I said, it's more digestible than a book. David's books are so long, but someone who watches one of those videos.
Was there someone said you've got 90 minutes to spare with a couple of beers, or
it's a great way.
90 minutes out of your life. Yeah.
Gather the family round at Christmas and say, "I've got a nice Christmas surprise for you," and I'll go, "Oh my God, David Icke!"
It is a bit of a long to read one of his books, I think, but.
Mr. Underground expert.
Hoping this is a Bakerloo line. It's a Seville line again. I'm hoping that there should still be Bakerloo trains running, but
it's not. What time is it? It's not that late, is it?
No, it's only 10 past 11.
Oh, what? 10 past 11. So we should be all right, shall we?
Yeah, I just. It should be on the board.
What does it say? We better check, because we might have to get this one on the right platform now. It's easy to get lost in this underground.
We only did that just so we could film the video. I suddenly realised we were on the wrong bloody.
It's giving you a slightly longer interview with Colin than you normally get. So this is the right train. We're in the right place. It's the Bakerloo line. We were waiting on the Circle Line platform. So never mind with it. We can now head up for Soho. Here we go. Oh yeah. This is one of these old trains, isn't it? It's one of these older ones. Yeah. No, actually, yeah. Well, do you think it'll be on DVD? Is DVD's a bit old-fashioned now?
I think if there's a market for it, then yeah,
I'd buy a DVD.
But a lot of it is now just downloads, though, isn't it? I mean, when I did the unacknowledged one, it was
it's on Amazon, or you get it on Amazon Prime or something. And that means you don't download anything. You just go log into Amazon and watch it, which is so you lose your Amazon account, you lose what you've got.
Yeah, well, there's something to that. I think because I bought unacknowledged on that, I think so. But you did get a lot of extras with it, so.
I'd like to get a DVD. I mean, and the physical DVDs are always a nice thing to have. I always find. You glad you went? You glad you came and saw it?
Yeah. Even spending the extra £30.
Yeah. Well, as I said, this was I think it was unavoidable with the various venue changes. They might offer you like £30 back or something.
No, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I think it's good that everyone got a chance to go on the red carpet and actually meet David and have a photo. So it's all good, really. It's a victory for the common man in some ways. But because, I think it's something we'll always remember. Having seen him, because I don't know how many more of these sort of big premiere type things you're going to get. So. Certainly something that I don't regret at all. I'm glad I went.
Well, the next one I'm going to go to, don't know if you can hear me, is Capel Green. Anyway, it's getting a bit noisy.
Oh, okay. When do we know? Do we got a date for that yet, Ben?
I think it's May the 1st. Not long. Or something. But anyway, Colin.
One more stop.
Yeah, one more stop. Thanks very much for your input on
always good to be up with you, and I look forward to the next adventure.
It's been fun. Yeah, cool. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead for the coach station. Colin's got to go home, and see you later. I'm on the coach home now. Well, I'm the only one on it at the moment because I've got here early. So I'm the only one actually on the coach. So I'm just get myself comfortable for a minute. Whoops. Just dropped the notebook 1 moment. Yeah, but it's must be about 11:15 or something. I don't know exactly what time it is, but it's not too late. Coach service is of course very good between what else have I dropped? I'm dropping everything at the moment, so I think that's everything. Yeah, no worries. It gives me a chance to talk about the film Renegade. Now the thing about Renegade, apparently this was Obama's. Anyway, you see me better now, which is always an advantage, eh? Apparently this is Obama's code name, which is interesting. When he was president, the US Secret Service code name was actually Renegade. Which is interesting when the meaning of the word renegade that David comes up with in the film. And now, as you just heard, this was the third venue. I've just been explaining to Colin how basically this situation of deplatforming is now universal. It's everywhere. And I've said a lot about that in previous films about how people who don't respect free speech, people on the political left, are basically trying to prevent anyone they disagree with, which is basically anyone with politics to the right of Joseph Stalin, from having any kind of ability to express themselves. It's the height of arrogance and stupidity, but that's what they're doing. And apparently there were some protesters outside the venue. We didn't see them. They must have turned up late. We were about 10 minutes early, actually. They must have turned up late. Anyway, in the video, it covers David's entire life, his childhood in Leicester. He went back to his old school and things like that. And he says it gives me a strange feeling being back at the school. This was the school where he broke the fossil, of course, which is a bit of a Ickean legend. And of course then we're introduced to Ivan Perner, who Kevin and I have just been explaining. He's a Croatian politician. He's got his own party, and he's an elected politician who supports David in Croatia. What the hell? Is there any MP? Is there any British MP? I know my own MP doesn't want anything to do with David because she's one of Tony's cronies, or something like that. Annalisa Dodds. Ms. Annalisa Dodds. So yeah, this is incredible that there was someone like that. And as we explained, we were explaining to Colin, there's been attempts to corrupt him, and he's resisted them, which is really, really great. They also talk about David goes back to his early experiences, which began in 1989. He began having a sense that there was his presence around him, and then there was the incident in the bookshop where he was told he heard a voice really, really loudly in his ear to go and pick this book up, and it was Betty Shine's book. And I read that book, actually, Mind to Mind by Betty Shine. As a result, probably David helped it become a bestseller. There was this analysis with the Matrix where you have Morpheus and Neo in the room with the two leather chairs. It's a famous scene where there's these two big leather Chesterfield chairs and like an old-fashioned TV, and he says, "Oh," Morpheus says, and Neo says, "My goodness, this is real. Is this real? And Morpheus says, "Define real. Real is just electrical signals from your sense organs to your brain," which is true. And then there's a scene where David is like inserted into the scene. It's very good special effects. There's a scene where he describes his experience in Peru. Where he has the download of energy, the Kundalini, and he's told it'll be over when you feel the rain. And the fact that he meets up with Alice Walker, this woman who I mentioned her on my Is David Icke Evil video. She's a black woman, actually, an old black woman from America, and she used to write for the New York Times, and she's been banned because on Desert Island Discs, she said one of the books she would take with her, along with the records, would be David Icke's Human Race, Get Off Your Knees. And she supported David, and as a result, she's been dropped from the New York Times. And there's that other horrible woman I told you about who says white people should be, hung, drawn, and quartered and things like that. She's now head of editorials or something. The 2012 prediction. Now, David mentions the 2012 and 2016 thing, right? Which I want to come onto in a separate scene because there's so much to say about that. I'm going to do a studio job on that tomorrow, so I'll insert it here. Okay, I want to pause briefly and cut to this studio segment now, because I think it is very, very important that I do this bit properly, because it's an important element of what David was talking about. And so I want to get all the facts in place. Now, David, of course, has said very many interesting things. One of those is about the year 2016. I think I might have covered this. I might have covered this briefly in my Why 2016 Matters video, which is a very important reference video that I've done. Now, it may have slipped a few people's memories. Some of you weren't on the scene in those days, but there was an awful lot of fuss in the first decade of the 21st century, especially as we approached the year 2012, right across the New Age, UFO, paranormal, conspiracy theory community. The entire alternative world was in uproar over the year 2012. In fact, it was an uproar that it resembled the more mainstream one leading up to the second Gregorian millennium in the year 2000. And the reason for this was because of the change in the long count of the Mayan calendar. And of course, if you want to check this out, I won't put links in the description box because I can't remember all these damn links, and otherwise the description box will just be a list of links. But anyway, basically, I've done other videos about this at the time it happened in December 2012. But basically, on December the 21st, 2012, according to most people's measurements, the Mayan calendar, the long count, this 5,000 plus year cycle, changed over. It's a cycle that began in 3114 BC, ended in 2012 AD, on the 21st of December. And there was all kinds of talk about what might happen on the day. There was this awful film by Roland Emmerich, which I wrote a review of. And of course my 2012 video diary, which I made at the time, is very interesting. Now, as it happened, absolutely nothing unusual took place on that long-awaited and long-feared day. And many people were relieved, many people were disappointed as well, because we had this catastrophe or ecstasy situation. And that is actually the subtitle of a book, or it's actually the title of a book by Jeff Stray, which is very good. It was a book called 2012 Catastrophe or Ecstasy, which is all about that. But some of us realised, and indeed some of us realised in advance, and I said so at the time, that the transformation that comes about by the Mayan calendar, which is the deep spiritual energies that the natives of the Americas discovered, are far more subtle than the cheap Hollywood simplicity that many alternative people anticipated and hoped for. Some people said, oh, we're all going to wake up as gods on that morning. We could go to bed on the 20th and wake up in a transformed world. Others were saying, oh, fire and brimstone is going to fall from the sky, zombies will walk the earth, Godzilla will rise from the sea. It's like a no-deal Brexit, basically. There were these two different schools of thought, which this is what was meant by catastrophe or ecstasy in the title of Jeff Stray's book. Now, one of the people who twigged this what would appear to be the deep spiritual energies, and perhaps the anticlimax of the actual day itself, was none other than a Mr. David Icke. Now, in 2013, he gave an interview, which I won't play it actually. I might play it on Third Rail Radio or something another time. But he explained how the transformation of 2012 would not produce instant tangible results. Instead, it would begin an energetic process that would only manifest in the material world a while later. Now, he estimated, and I kid you not, he estimated that it would be about 4 years. He said 2016. And of course, this is exactly what I have found out myself. And I explain in my film why 2016 matters. He believed that 2012 was just a distraction, and he said that the mainstream media was corralling our perception of it. Well, he was certainly right about the second part. The film by Roland Emmerich was that. I don't think it was a distraction as such, just more a misunderstanding. Funnily enough, the interview where David Icke does this interview in 2013, the YouTube URL ends with the letter Q, which I gave an ironic, hearty chuckle with that. Now, but on the subject of Q and everything, I find it ironic, therefore, that David has this dismissive attitude towards President Trump. He regards Trump as another insider. And as I was explaining to Colin, he's just one more. He said David thinks, oh, it's just one more Illuminati gopher. He's like every other U.S. president. He's just a front man for the New World Order. He's controlled by the neocons, etc., etc., etc. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth. I've talked about this many times. Why 2016 matters. I will put a link in the description to that. That is very important as well, if I remember. Hang on, I better press pause and make a note. So that, I think, is sad. It's a shame. He has this. He thinks Trump is just. He doesn't understand the things to do with Trump, which I have discovered. Now, I've never believed that David Icke is perfect. I do think he makes mistakes about a lot of things. He makes mistakes about Brexit, about the moon being hollow. He makes mistakes about Saturn. Several other things he's got wrong. I've never claimed he's perfect. He has errors. There was this fuss over the People's Voice and stuff like that. I've talked about this before. David Icke is human. I actually wrote an article called David Icke is Human for that reason. And I don't understand it quite, because David does get it right about Brexit. He understands that. He says Brexit is a real aberration of the New World Order, but Trump is not. And I don't understand that. But he's not alone in his error, because of course Stephen Bassett says the same thing. I can't force people to change their minds when they make a mistake. It'll achieve nothing if I get angry and start berating people like David or Steve. All I can do is patiently, politely and calmly try to persuade them to change their views through logic and reason. And no doubt for them the opposite is the case. They see me as the dupe who needs to be drawn back into the right-hand path. And I interact with people in good faith, and I maintain that they're wrong, but so long as they're good to me, I'll be good to them. So David, I don't hold this against David at all. And of course, David does refer to Donald Trump and incorrectly states that Trump is controlled by the neocons. All the other things I've just said about Trump and Brexit and things like that. Now, David did this tour on an open-top bus, and one of the people we were talking to this evening, there was a father and daughter who were there, and we were talking to them. They went on that tour. They went on the open-top bus. I'd love to have done that. David Icke did a alternative London tour on the top of a bus. Now, I think he might have nicked that idea from me. I say nicked. It's not something I claim copyright on. He might have got the idea from me, because as you know, if you watch regularly, I've done my Panwo London Truth tour. I basically do the same thing that David does, but except I don't do it on a bus, I do it on foot. He talks about Project for the New American Century, the Soros and the Arab Spring, and George Soros, who funded all these things. He talks about artificial intelligence and how that can be used as a weapon, the addiction to technology, which we see. One of the final scenes in the film, well, the final scene is a film where he actually talks about what a renegade is. A renegade is what he would say is a free thinker. David often uses different terminology to discuss the same things, the same subjects, things he's talked about before. So I put these footrests up. I didn't drop anything. I heard something go down, but can't see anything. And Renegade's like what he would call a free thinker. I am me, I am free. And but the penultimate scene is incredible. It's like David goes back to the Isle of Wight. Well, I say go back, he actually lives there, and he comes from there. And he was walking, but he said he used to visit the Isle of Wight. He comes from Leicester, actually, but he's lived on the Isle of Wight since for all his adult life. But he was on the pier at Ryde, on the north of the coast of the Isle of Wight, the big pier, which I've been on. A train goes up and down it, it's so big. And it's where the bookshop was, actually, where he had his experience, where he picked up Betty Shine's book. And he was talking about his childhood and about what made him who it was. And he looked down onto the beach, and there were a group of children, and they were writing in the sand, and they wrote a word in the sand, and that word was freedom. And David was overwhelmed emotionally by this, and he started crying, and it was a very touching scene. I mean, I think he's got an affinity with Alice Walker, because he's an emotional person. And Alice Walker, I mean, as I said, if you've ever seen the film The Colour Purple, as I've explained, it's got Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, Danny Glover. It's a very, very emotionally intense film, and it's based on her book. That was really amazing. Freedom, just writing that in the sand, when David happened to be there. And David saw this as symbolic, he saw it as synchronous, and indeed it was. I must admit, I found the film moving as well. I really did. I think this is the best film that's ever been made about David Icke, and I'm going to have to go and watch Unacknowledged again, because it's the same director, and I really didn't realise that. I didn't notice the similarity in styles, but I wasn't really watching Unacknowledged very well, very carefully. I was a bit drunk, and I was sort of only half watching it when I put it on, so I'll watch it again properly this time. Now, during the Q&A, there were some very good Q&As, including a guy who comes specifically to see Ivan Perner, because he was like into Liberland, as we were talking about with Colin, Liberland. David said something very interesting. He said that the 1%, he talked about the 1%, he said about 1% of people, if you just wake up 1%, and the director was saying this as well, you wake up 1% of people, that can be enough. That can be all you need to tip the balance. And that is exactly what Lyle Watson said, talking about the 100th monkey effect, which I've discussed several times in my videos, especially my live talks. But Watson reckoned only 1% of monkeys were needed for them all to get the idea. And that would mean that, well, humans are related to monkeys with primates, so that's the 100th monkey. Excuse me. That's where the 100th monkey effect comes from. Oh, I'm tired. If I need to, I don't think I need to say anymore. I think that says everything I need to about the film. But anyway, if if I think of anything else, I'm sure I will add it. So from sunny London, or rather rainy London, I think that Hurricane Anna might be here at last. So if I make it home without being blown across the country, I will see you at the next Panwo TV video. Thank you very much for watching. Hospital Port as Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.